The foundation for how we do business.
Do you have a pest problem? Got bats, ants, termites? Family owned and operated, Olson's Pest Technicians have had over 50 years experience taking care of pest problems in places across South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. Utilizing brilliant methods such as Centricon bait stations for termites and Vicane treatment for bed bugs. There's no pest too tough for Olson's Pest Technicians. If you have pest problems, call 800-KILL-BUGS.
Independent Ag in Bristol, Verdon, Roscoe, and Watertown. A local business providing local service and local expertise. They're farmer-focused, service-driven, with a very knowledgeable staff that offers seed, chemical, and fertilizer sales. They make competitive offers at Independent Ag. They say, we know your acre. Check out the website, independentagservices.com, or call 605-395-6605. Independent Ag, proud to support local sports and activities.
As much as you have accomplished, there are times you'd rather not go it alone. While you determine what direction you go, we're here to help along the way. So go. Go with community. Go with neighbors. Go with understanding. Go with support.
World-class service with hometown friendliness. That's what you can expect from the staff of Haler Automotive. We sell new vehicles from both Chevrolet and Buick, along with a good selection of late-model pre-owned vehicles. And if you're looking for something a little more vintage, come take a look at our classic car showroom, Highway 12 Classics. We have a full service department, parts department, and a body shop. We're conveniently located East Highway 12 in Webster, or view all of our inventory online at HalerAuto.com.
Webster Scale Incorporated, a fourth-generation family-owned and operated business, is a proud sponsor of Bearcat TV, as well as the original sponsor. WSI supports our community and youth by sponsoring youth activities, partnering with local school districts, sponsoring Build Dakota scholarships, and offering flexible employment. We believe the youth is our future. To learn more or apply for an exciting career, visit websterscale.com. Good luck to all area athletes, and as a couple of wise men once told us, always give it 110%, and winning isn't everything, but wanting to is.
Hi, my name is Shauna Miyatke, owner of Fixed Style Funeral Service in Webster. Death is never an easy time. When you experience the loss of a loved one, you can trust us to guide you through the arrangements necessary to create a meaningful ceremony that celebrates the unique life being honored. Our staff is committed to providing your family with the highest quality care and service in your time of need. Fixed Style Funeral Service in Webster is and always has been locally owned and operated, serving your family since 1924. Visit our website at fixedstylefuneral.com.
Bolt Marketing and Crop Insurance is locally owned and operated and has been assisting ag producers in South Dakota, Minnesota, and North Dakota for over 20 years. We not only stand behind our ag producers by helping them manage their risk through marketing and crop insurance, we also stand behind our youth and youth activities by coaching, volunteering, and reinvesting in our future leaders. We know how important it is to ensure the future for both our youth and our farmers. Bolt Marketing and Crop Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Webster Area Bearcats, equal opportunity provider.
Whether you are pregnant or planning ahead, you and your baby deserve a healthy start. We offer a wide range of services such as advocacy, health screenings and education, care coordination and car seat safety, participant empowerment, referral services, and fatherhood support. To learn more about Great Plains Healthy Start, visit greatplainstravelhealth.org or call one of our 5 service areas today. Brought to you by Great Plains Healthy Start, so that the people may live.
Thrivent is a proud sponsor of all Bearcat activities. Your money should work as hard for you as you work for it. As a Thrivent team of financial advisors, we're here to help you find the right solutions for your financial goals. From financial advice and investments to insurance, banking, and generosity programs, find a full range of options to fit your unique financial needs. To see how your money can do more, please call Tanner Christensen and Brittany Zupke of Dakota Associates at 605-345-3635. We proudly serve people all over the Northeast region of South Dakota. Go Bearcats!
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Man, I wish I had those speakers in my vehicle. Okay, motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second, I had Marty in the second with Aaron. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Conflicts disclosure. None? Public communications. And are we got public communications, just engineers tonight? Perfect. Jim, we're ready to turn it over to Mr. Squires, correct?
Yes.
We'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
So, I'm Tom Squires from the Designer Group. This is Webster from the Designer Group. So I went to school here back in 2006 and got into the architecture field. So part of this is a little bit more near and dear to me just because it is a project that is in my home base. And so we were reached out by a couple members from there on the committee. Spencer reached out originally and kind of let me know. And I reached out to the meeting. We met on April 25th to originally talk about the project. Try to get a basic understanding of the project itself. Excuse me. And so on the 25th, we kind of met with Dr. Block, Spencer, Tyler, and Nathan Bloom, and kind of got a general understanding of what you guys were looking for and having kind of a space to do. And so the biggest area was conversation is where to put it at. And so the armory was kind of the most logical spot. And so the way this is laid out right now is we have it kind of broken out into two phases for you. One with being the wrestling room, the weight room, and a modification about a new locker room for the main home team as part of the request, so that way we could kind of adjust some of the locker rooms that you have. And then there would be phase 2 would possibly be an auxiliary gym if that was the option that you guys wanted to go. So switch to So right now the current entrance into the gym was on the south side of the building, and the thought would be is to actually relocate that onto the main grade for you guys, putting it over to the east side of there so you could actually enter into the site when you'd have a new ticket booth over there and amenities to get into the space. So you'd still have your main gym, not modifying anything in your main gym area, but you'd actually have a new ticket area where part of your storage currently is inside of the space. And then
I'm sorry, that's the northeast corner?
This is the northeast corner currently of the gym, yep, correct. And so you would be able to come in, and right now there is quite a significant grade change in there, and so what we've kind of figured out is roughly to account for that is that you could actually come in and add a set of stairs or a ramp to get down there. Because of the amount of fill you'd want to bring in, it would affect the site significantly, and it also adds an additional cost to bring in the fill for that side of things. And so the thought was, bring it in, allow you to either enter into the basketball gym or over to the wrestling side for that end. So you have 2 mats that were part of the conversation of what everyone was looking for, was adding 2 additional mats. So that way when you're hosting tournaments, you could actually have 2 mats out in the main gym and 2 auxiliary mats in there for additional wrestling. In addition to that, there was a request kind of idea about having new locker rooms for the home team. And so this got added over to this side here, which then allows you to connect with a kind of a hallway across the adjacent side of that. And then on the back side would be your full fitness and weight room for the main portion of the on-level grade side of the building itself. And this floor right here. we added a fitness room partly for the wrestlers too that could be used as an additional weight area that they already got some of the equipment in there. So there'd be the main one that all the student athletes would use. You'd have the one that the public would use down on the south side that's still currently existing on that end. But then you'd have just a small mezzanine here that could actually look into the actual weight area itself. It also allows them to get the stairs because they still like to run stairs quite often, and this gives them that ability to do so without having to do too much modification. And the cost to add a little bit of height to this isn't going to affect the overall construction cost that significantly on that side of things. And so that's kind of where we started really diving into how do we make this just function at that space. One of your existing locker rooms was taken out, and that's now the idea is to have a reference office in there and maybe a PT area for you guys that could accommodate that, and then your other locker room would be able to go back to storage. Your 2 guest locker rooms would now be your 2 original home teams, and then you'd actually have a new home team locker room that could be actually as your main point for it. So in addition to that, we then added to the option of having the auxiliary gym. So if you did phase 1, you'd have that, and then you could do a connecting link off of the back area here with the little vestibule. Zoom in on this one here a little more for you. That would give you the ability to have an auxiliary gym where you could put in another main court gym in there or 2 practice gyms there, so that way all of your athletic side of things would be able to now be hosted down here. So during sporting events and stuff, you could have a wrestling down here and basketball for any age group basically, as well as having weights down in this space. That kind of gives you a general understanding of that. So this would be the auxiliary gym kind of rendering what you'd be looking at on that side of things. So again, this is all conceptual. We're just from one initial meeting, this is kind of what we've kind of put together for you guys to be able to see. So part of it is trying to give you a wow factor on the south side of the building, but then your main entrance would be now on this side of the building. So on the east side of the building, you would be able to come in, you'd have everything on grade, and you'd have a kind of a wow factor on this side of the building that allows you to have anyone parking in here and access into there, and then you'd have parking along the entire back. The intent would be to try to encourage student athletes to park on now the south side of the building rather than actually on the north side, so that way all of your patrons get to use the south side of your site for you. And then this would be your wellness kind of space that within the area too. So this would be your back corner near the golf course, outlooking the golf course. Your fitness area would be able to look out towards the golf course and having that space for you. Any questions?
The auxiliary gym to the west, that would probably overtake that west storage building?
Correct. The west storage building would have to be gone in that case in order to fit it in that space, to be able to at least accommodate that size. The hope would be is at that point the National Guards and the city takes all their stuff and you guys are able to just kind of shift down into those other buildings, because the intent right now is not to touch anything basically past that fence and just taking your current site for you that you currently have for.
That was one of the conversations we had, was that west building is used for storage by the city, but eventually, if the guards do vacate and the city obtains that I guess the maintenance garage to the north, then perhaps that west building could be tore down. Right now, it's just cold storage as far as we know. But we don't want to infringe on that immediately and without some sort of a plan in the future.
They were looking for replacement storage if that is to be done, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, Tom, I don't know if you remember me, my name's Tom Sanis. I remember you.
100% I do.
So, just getting back, starting at kind of the big picture, we're trying to figure out what's best. The sports complex group, I don't know exactly what they call their group, is just getting together and getting their ideas, and one of those things is, talking to architects. Can you tell us a little bit about your firm and your guys' experience? We've worked with Patty Munson, another Webster grad, and she works with Arc Inc. Thanks.
Yep.
And so we're familiar with them somewhat. Can you tell us who you guys are, what your history is, where you're at, etc.?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I'll let you start with Les.
Well, my name is Les Rowland. I started the company in 2008. in Brookings, and we started as a small firm of 2 people. Took a while to grow, and now we're an office of 20. Right? We're growing, but the fundamental values that I'd argue that we started with were, we didn't have the luxury of turning people away. We had to become a good designer and just a good listener, because we couldn't we had to become good in a small community to be able to survive. And so we learned these skills of programming and listening skills, and it actually formulated kind of what we're about today, is that it's your vision and it's our mission to make sure we accomplish that. We're not egotistical architects where we're going to throw an idea or kind of push down something, shove down your throats some idea. It's about listening to your needs and programming that. And that's what we excel at, is that when people ask us, well, what do we specialize in? And well, we do quite a few schools now, but I'd say the main focus really is that idea of, we call programming and design, and just designing towards the needs and coming up with something that works really well. Along with that, we have a construction management department that really helps us have a better feel for construction costs. And that's the reason why we started that process, is really the interest of, okay, as an architect, we design this building and then we hand it off to a contractor. It's like, how do we kind of get more involved in the construction part of it to become experts in kind of this syncing of the 2 trades together? And it's less a handoff and more kind of a unified kind of process. And so the construction management, though, helps us really have a better understanding of costs. And so just as much as coming up with a good design for you, I'd argue too that we excel at, from the get-go, we start to marry design with construction costs, and we monitor that all the way along. And so you start out with maybe a square foot number, an idea of a square foot cost construction number, but as the design develops, then all of a sudden it starts to become more about quantities of materials and quality of materials and things that are starting to inform that cost. And at the end, when you're about ready to go into bids, the whole group that's involved in this project has a confidence level that you're where you need to be, because we've monitored that thing and brought it along all the way along. It's not us looking at a cost estimate after we've designed this pretty picture and then, oh man, we need to do some budget cuts. It's like, no, that's not the way we want to do it, right? We want to have it where it's a process where we develop it along with the design, because it's like, we failed you. We all the time think about that, as we failed you if we designed you something you can't build, right? No one likes that. If you see that, say, oh, this project is $1 million over budget. How frustrating is that, right? It's the absolute last thing we want to have happen. So we're always looking at that, because that is just as important as the design, is the idea of designing something that the school district can afford. It's very important. So that's kind of what we're about a little bit. But we developed from a small couple people, and now we're growing, and it isn't really much about our motto. It's your vision and our mission. We won't force any ideas, but we'll bring a lot of good ideas to the table, and we'll discuss them as a group, and we'll come together as a conclusion. Yeah.
So,
that's what we're about.
School experience-wise, if you're asking that, in the last 3-4 years now, I've personally been involved in 15 different schools. So I've actually done quite a few. Right now I'm doing a project over in Graceville, Minnesota. Then they're doing a $25 million expansion to their school, and I'm spearheading that from our office. So I'm considered our K-12 expert in the office, so I somehow took a liking in the K-12s, and so that's where my expertise has been really focused on our end of it. So right now we're adding on to theirs a CTE, an athletic, similar addition, similar to what you guys are doing there. And then we're renovating what used to be their old high school, middle school, and we're bringing and merging their whole elementary school into their school right now. And so it's a pretty interesting process, because I've got our phases out where I'm doing the additions first, and then during the spring we're 15 weeks to basically gut 30,000 square foot of a school and put a elementary school inside of this thing before before September 1st. We have to have all of that switched around. So that's been my task and job, is to help keep it in line with the budget, but then also the drawings for that. So I mean, I worked on various projects. I did some stuff in Platt School. We did an addition for a secured entrance over there recently, and then over in Minnesota, at Hopkins, Minnesota, it's I can't believe how big that school is. It dwarfs. It's got like 8 gyms in it. And I did some renovation and additions to that school recently. So for me, I've actually taken a big liking into schools, and so my free time, I actually take classes learning more about different systems within the schools to help make them more successful for the different districts that I've worked with. So, I mean, that's kind of our main experience, is that we do have a lot of experience in it, but this is where my forte and specialty in the office really lies. So, as Les mentioned, he is the owner and principal of the company, and then I'm one of the associate principals within the firm. So I've been with Design Arc since 2013. So shortly after he started it, he brought me on as an intern, and well, he hasn't kicked me out yet. So
nice. So Graceville, Minnesota is doing a $25 million project.
Yes.
You know what their enrollment is?
327 students total.
You know how they're funding it?
They did a bond for it, so they voted for a bond, and then there were some additional funds from the state. They have some bonding
That's
that they have
pretty
in there.
impressive.
Yeah, so they got all in. Right now, it's balancing between basically 20 to 25. We'll see where the final numbers are. We'll have the first phase done here. July 29th will be 100% stamped documents.
What style of contract did you guys do? Construction manager at risk? Did you bid it out?
That one will be bid out. So we're just the architect of record for that, or the architect designer on that one, and so we're doing all that, and then we're going to two-part bid this one. So with July 29th, we'll release it for bidding, and that'll be for the 2 additions. They're adding a pre-K addition to it and the basically athletic CTE addition to it, and then in December 3rd, we're going to release the second phase for it, which is the renovation of the entire school, basically from the elementary side of it. And then they have some special eds that we're modifying into the high school area. And that one will be bid out. They'll have bids back basically first part of the year. And then that one will get its contract executed, and then they will start that May 7th, I think, is what we're looking at, trying to start that. And then they have till basically September 1st to have everything completed for both phases on that project. And so I envision that, as I do it, I usually travel anyways from the office, so, going up there and peeking in, and it's kind of a fun trip up there. I can bring the boat, maybe do a little fishing while I'm up there too, right? So, but yeah, that's kind of at least their process for it. So I understand, there's always different funding sources, and trying to figure out how you find those right funding sources. That's always the biggest challenge that you face with school districts is, if you can avoid going to the bonds, that's preferred, just because then you're able to handle it, but it's not always easy to do when you're adding a large amount of money to that. So,
do you recall what your estimated square foot cost could be different?
Yeah, so on yours, roughly you're running...
No, I mean on your Graceville.
Oh, so right now the CTE athletic area is ranging right around about $338 a square foot-ish. I think that we can get that number down once we get a little closer to that. But that's kind of where the current budget is, based off of that. They wanted to add some extra square footage, and so we're doing some cost estimating right now on that project to see where the numbers are going to come in as we're starting into the mid-level through DD, and then we'll see. If we got a value engineer, I already got the bid alternates figured out on my end where we can help value engineer that to make sure that it still comes a buildable project for them, but also comes within budget. They've added a couple areas that we can definitely.
And how about classroom square footage?
Classroom square footage on that one. Well, if you don't mind, I can actually pop open.
Just a ballpark.
Well, I can give you some preliminary numbers. I actually have a cost estimate on my computer here, so.
While you're looking for that, specifically on this particular project, in that grade as you go farther north, do you recall how many steps are involved, and is there a ramp inside for access? Or
so there is on part of that.
You can go back to that later, but
in here, we have steps just on the inside of this one, and there's about 5 to 6 steps just here. We have an internal ramp on this side, but everything else on the south side, which would actually be all on grade already, so you'd be coming out flush on grade on that side of it. So that was the intent here, And then when we do if you did the auxiliary addition with the gym here, you'd have basically about the same amount of steps, that 5 right in here, to get back up to the auxiliary gym level. And then in the front of the building, we could work out how we adjust the grade in there to get in and out of the building from the front side of the space.
So right at the building foot, where it hits the ground is about 4 foot down,
Yeah,
right there. And then,
somewhere between 4 to 5 is what we've
and then
roughly
it drops,
focused.
of course, slopes down as it goes further south, or north, further north. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's as much until you actually get on there and you eye level that thing out.
Yeah, you stand out there on the opposite end of the site, and it's
Yeah.
okay.
So if it's less than that, that helps. We can adjust the stairs, and that's part of our due diligence as we would get to that next level. It's figuring out how much grade change that really is and start validating what we can do to see if we can.
Again, that's part of the process, right? It's like you might say, okay, well, we want the floor level of the new addition to be the same as the gym of the current gym. So if that's the case, then we just have to evaluate, because you're going to have some extra fill down below that whole footprint of that addition. It's going to add to the cost. You know, we figured somewhere around that $250,000, $300,000 just for fill. It's like, so, you know, that'd be a decision on your part, is like, what's the happy medium? What do we want to do? That's a give and take.
So that, your wrestling mats there, that is on the south side of the armory?
On the north side of the armory.
North side.
Yeah.
North side of the armory. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The original doors to the gym are right
Gotcha.
down over here for you.
I misspoke earlier. I'm dyslexic a little bit. I constantly have to think, okay,
I
direction.
think the Army facility does that to you, though.
Yeah.
It does. I'll say. South and north.
It took me a little bit to get my bearings of like which way. So,
What's
wait.
the area then that you've left vacant
So on
where
the
the
side,
entrance is on the north side?
so you have, so you'd be able to have still an entrance along here, and you'd have parking basically along this face here. And then you'd still be able to double stack your parking all the way across basically both sides and here. So you're still, I mean, obviously you're losing parking because we're also got the auxiliary gym on this end of it here. I'd have to double check. I don't know if,
The top of the photo is the maintenance shop for the garden.
Okay, this is your house then?
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
house, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I assumed you still lived across the street.
Yeah, that's still me there, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if the auxiliary gym did go in there, you could add some athlete/visitor parking, so that way anyone that's coming and using the weight room in the front of the building could still use it there, so.
What style construction are you contemplating right now?
I've looked at both. You know, this could be a precast option. You could do a post and beam, but the height that you're going to be running against the building, right now I think your most cost-effective option is precast. Masonry, you know, I'd love to say you could go masonry, but the numbers that I've been seeing from them have been a little higher than I'd like, just because for a little while when the COVID hit, everyone couldn't get certain materials, and so masons got overly whelmed, and they finally are starting to taper it back to a balance and giving a better number. But for a little while, their numbers were double where they should have been for just repairs, and so. But that's currently where it's sitting at. But I'm open to, you know, if you guys would prefer something different, we can definitely change it. But you know, there's a lot of options with that. I mean, precast, even with that, I can actually do an integrated brick onto the face of a precast panel, so it actually is legitimately a full width brick that's on the face of it that's still integrated within the precast panel and matches up. You know, that's part of what. Here for you. You know, that's part of what we were implementing in here, was doing a precast with brick part of it, and as part of your connections. That way, it still paid some respect back to the actual building itself. And then even here, you know, most of that's kind of pulling that brick feel, so that way you're still paying respect back to the original building, because that's the last thing I want to do is make it look like it was just an add-on to the building. I want it to pull and have an effect that ties in. This is the southwest corner of the gym. This would be basically kind of looking, if you were in the corner here, you'd be looking at hole one on the golf course over there.
What kind of glass you gonna put in those windows?
Well, you know, just because I have a mad slice to the right and would be the first one to hit that window.
They bounce
into my yard quite often.
They make it that far?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'll pick up golf balls in my yard. Well, once they hit that asphalt on the arm.
Oh, yeah, they just
they
go.
take off. Game on.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Let's say if we eventually go down the road with this type of project and we were to work with your firm, do you look at the armory as a whole to tell us, hey, what your idea is from an architectural perspective is? Because we'll have people within the community that say that armory is 70 years old now, maybe? You know, is it good to invest money into a 70-year-old building? Or are we comfortable in saying, you know what, yeah, there are plenty of 70-year-old buildings out there, and as long as you keep it up and keep it maintained, this is a good investment for your community?
Yeah. Typically our process is we do like a lot of times what we like to do is do a facility assessment. We come in there and we evaluate, you know, the structure of the building, making sure all the bones and everything are still really good for it. Seeing where your HVAC and mechanical systems are, your electrical systems are. Like we do an assessment to the space to make sure that everything is at its optimum performance. Because if you got to do a bunch of maintenance and repairs to it, right, it's not to the level where it should be. Then we say, okay, well, what would it cost for you to do that? And then say, okay, well, now if we were to say start from scratch and go brand new everything, what would that cost look like, right? And so we actually do evaluate that for you and help do those assessments. That's part of our process is understanding what's there, what the future is. I mean, because you know, there's buildings that we're doing right now that, I mean, I've done one that was a 100-year-old building, and we did an assessment to it, and the structure was in great shape. HVAC system was the only biggest flaw that they had, and so we brought in a new system in there, upgraded their HVAC, and then we added an addition to it, and you can't tell the difference between the addition and the new side because it had a good thermal mass to it still that actually performed really well still. So that's part of what we would help you assess, is making sure that if you're going to put money into it, you're not just throwing money at something that you're going to have to do a ton of repairs for, because that's the last thing we want you to do again. I mean, we want to, again, our mission is, your vision, our mission is really what we're all about, is trying to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck, whatever that means.
Your HVAC for what you're looking at would be new units, separate, standalone for those facilities?
Correct, because each one of those spaces, especially within like a wrestling room, you know, even the weight rooms, they all have, you know, an odor and a smell that no one wants to have going out there, but they also have specialized equipment because of what they're doing in there.
Our system down there will.
Yeah. So, and we'd be able to do an assessment and actually help determine that, because like one of the projects that we did when we were doing the Platt schools, we also replaced in their main gym area, we actually replaced their whole mechanical system on that one, and put a new mechanical unit on there, and that made a tremendous amount of difference in that space too. And you know, sometimes it's just not getting enough new fresh air in there. And so like there we added a DOS system into that, which just helps bring in new fresh air to it. And now, as far as I'm aware, that everything's been going really well. I mean, actually we've done that to 3 different schools now in their gyms. Is sometimes they have high humidity levels, and some of these different systems that we brought in there have helped significantly make their gyms more efficient too for them. So, and saving them on cost. In Graceville, we're actually adding solar panels to their roof to help put money back into the grid. So that's something, you know, even on a project like this, you've got a lot of new roof space. It's easy to account for it, and there's a lot of funding out there for solar panels that helps give you guys money back, but also benefits it. And so you can do 2 options of that. You could do one where it just feeds back into the grid, and then you get basically payback from the electric company, or you can do it where you actually have a battery storage facility, and it actually will run all of your systems for you. Again, there's a ton of grants and funding sources out there that do those for you.
Is Graceville, or have you been involved? There's a big push, and they have a lot of grant money in Minnesota for going green.
Yep.
High school, any schools as far as solar, wind.
Yep. So we're right now we're looking at about a 90 by 90 square foot area for the solar panels on their new athletic area, and we just started talking about if they wanted to implement geothermal into their building too.
And that would be grant money in Minnesota?
Correct. Yep. And I know there is some in South Dakota too. It's just not quite as out there as it should be yet. Most people don't actually push for it in South Dakota yet, but there is some in there. So
is that federal mixed with state?
That one is, That one's strictly state-based over there that they were chasing after. I know there is some federal, but I don't know if the school district decided to go after the federal. I don't know if they wanted to do some of the paperwork that deals with federal side of things. Unfortunately, federal sides have a little bit more to paperwork to do than the state side does for different funding sources that you get. So, but right now, yeah, we are doing solar on that one. So. And to answer your question about where they're sitting at for the classroom space, quick calculation for you here, and I can tell you the general number of that one. So. So they're running almost, last it looked like they were running at about $400 a square foot in the classroom areas. But I think we're a little high on that number just because
Minnesota wages?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's part of why it's significantly more too. So, I mean, I envision though that these numbers can come down. I mean, this is kind of where our preliminaries are. So we're running where our initial estimate came in was about 224, almost 25 million, and right now we're sitting at about 19.2. So that's we took out basically $5 million roughly so far out of the project. We'll see if those numbers still kind of align here. In about 2 weeks, I'll have a new cost estimate put together for this one, and I can be able to see where those numbers really align up for us on that. So.
One thing, Tom, I would bring up is that I think that, Webster's kind of unique with the Army.
Yep.
Most school districts now, everything's under one roof. Redfield, everything's in one spot. Brogan, everything's in one spot. Millbank, everything's in one spot. Webster, we have the Army, and it's been there for at least 70 years. I don't know what year it was built for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was the mid-50s. Does that sound right? 54?
Yep, it's 54 is what the plan said.
Then giddy up, 70 years this year. I mean, I think the community's really proud of that building, and it would be nice to make sure that if we're going to do anything, that it's going to be another long-term investment, just like they did with the first time.
Yep.
And knowing what we could do, and I like the idea of our vision, your mission, that armory is just unique. And we would want to try to make sure that we're incorporating the things it has, but also making it good for the next 100 years.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I still come back and watch my nephew wrestle in that, and I've seen some other events going on in there too. So I mean, it's like it has a special place. Even to me,
We're really hoping we can keep the carpeted ceiling for at least another 5 decades or so. Maybe we can get rid of that.
Yeah, there's definitely some better options for that. But yes, no, that's the only flaw to that space is the carpeted ceilings in there. But it still has a sentimental value to that side of it though too. So.
Any other questions? So I think really where we're at, Tom, is we're just getting information right now.
Yep.
We appreciate we've got a group that's starting within the community to start to get some volunteers to put together as to what the community is looking for and what they want. I think they said they had between 10 and 20 people they were targeting for volunteers to help them out on this.
Yep.
And we would obviously want to get more of their feedback. We also have Architectural Inc., Patty Munson, she's going to probably make some similar type of proposal to us. But I would guess that at some point in time, we would be wanting to hear from them, at least as to what some preliminary budgets would have to be in order for you to put together initial plans, what we would have to invest so we can at least have an idea of, okay, these are the specs you're looking at, this is your cost, is it even doable? Is it something that we can fit within our budget, or is it something we're just going to have to wait another 3 or 4 years or whatever the number is? Mm-hmm. That's going to be the position for us I think, a board if that makes sense.
Yep, no, absolutely. And that's part of the way we structure our fee structure is that we don't base it off of, you know, a big lump sum and it's all this amount, right? Like we break it out into phases throughout the course, and the way we've always done it is that you only paying us for the work that we complete for you. So, sometimes we do, and Les can chime in on this, but sometimes we do, like this, working out just a concept to start that conversation, to start actually putting some really high level numbers to that thing to it, right? So I have ran some preliminary cost of square footage numbers on this for you, just to see roughly where some of this has actually been into that. So, roughly phase one, I'm figuring that we're sitting in that 330 to 350 square foot mark as a high level cost estimate. Again, depending on how your finishes and what you do, that always really will fluctuate the space. But that would basically be doing roughly the full space in here, which you have basically right around 15,000 square feet for the first edition of that. So that chunk of it, and I can tell you a rough number.
Do you consider 16,000 square feet an average wrestling?
For what you guys are looking at doing, yes. I've actually.
What would an average wrestling room square footage?
Well, so the wrestling room itself, and I can actually give you exact square footage is what your wrestling room is sitting at. So right now, your wrestling room with bleachers in it is sitting at about 6,000 square feet.
6,000?
Yep. And then you have the mezzanine, which is 1,300-ish. Check that number. Yeah, 1,600 is right around the mezzanine portion of it too. So right now, that's kind of where you're sitting at.
So how did you get to 16,000 square feet on phase one with a 6,000 foot wrestling?
So part of it is the part of the renovation. So we're renovating a little bit in here and here. You also got two restrooms that are basically 1,000 plus square feet in here. And then you have a 2,200 square foot of this. So this is partly of some of the renovation of the spaces.
Plus you have the mezzanine.
Plus we have the mezzanine. So this is only so it's 13,000 here, 13,400 for all of this area.
Okay.
So the 13 includes the remodel portion.
13 does include the remodel.
That's like, and when we say, like, you're talking those locker rooms, that's like the original locker rooms from 1950.
Well, so it's actually renovating one of them, opening and connecting and building you two brand new locker rooms within this space. Because that was one of the thoughts is with Nathan when we were talking is that, we'd like to maybe see if there's a way to get some new locker rooms into this that actually could become the new home locker rooms, and then your two home locker rooms could actually become now your away locker rooms and use those there. One of the two oldest locker rooms could be a storage, one now would be a hallway with a ref office and a PT space for you guys. So it's kind of trying to implement and reusing those locker rooms that could use a facelift to help re-implement them and give you guys an actual new space that allows you to connect into the space. Because part of it is I know that when we as athletes were coming out, right, it was always nice to come out from an end and bring it out. Now the goal is that everyone would always come out from the same area to enter into that from the home team side of things.
So with this concept, our two newest locker rooms would still exist as our guest locker rooms. We have two brand new locker rooms, and then the old one that has the football storage could be whatever we choose it to be, and then the smaller of them is that transition.
Is that transition space? Yep. Because right now you have still two, and I don't have it in this one, but there's the two restrooms because I didn't have that current side of the plans for what it is, but I know that there's two accessible restrooms right down here for you too.
And then all the way to the, maybe to the east. No, to the west.
To the west.
Right there. Is that all new weight room, or what is that?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So this would be all your new weight room on there. So this would allow you to have a door exit directly on the outside, but then they could also connect into the main space here. And so the goal would be with this is that during there you could look out, be able to see out to the golf course at some point as kind of a nicer view from that space as you're working out of that. But that's the goal. That the intent would be is this is the main athletic fitness room for you guys, and then you'd be able to use the other one as your public one for your restroom or for your fitness room up there. So. Phase one, right now, I just did a medium of the 340 square foot cost, and you're sitting at about $5 million or so, rough high level estimate for that one. And then phase two, you're sitting at with that one about 3.7. So all in on, if you were to do both phase 1 and phase 2 with the renovations and additions on there, you'd be sitting at about $8.7 million. It's a high level cost estimate where I envision them sitting at for cost-wise right now. And so, like I said, our fee structure, we typically would tailor it around, you know, what works with you guys as well too. I mean, I understand there's an investment up front, so you guys need to be smart and conscious with your money too. And so that's where we typically will set up a process of what that looks like, you know, where maybe it's set amount of money up front and it could be, you know, a smaller portion of what the overall fee would be once we actually know if it's a feasible or realistic project for you. I mean, that's typically how we've done it. When we've written proposals, you know, this is one thing we're probably unique from most firms, is that we tailor our proposals also the same way we tailor our design. Is like, it's still, you know, obviously I can't say it's free, right? But we do tailor it to saying, okay, how can we help you make it work within your end? Right now, I just actually had a client was talking about a multifamily housing project with me, and they're like, can we set up a payment option of how this process would work, where we're working on the construction loan, once we get it finalized, we'd be able to just roll your fees into that thing. Can we work out something like that? And that's, right now, that's what I'm working on with them too, is actually creating a process where they're covering up for the upfront schematic that we've done for them, and then we're working out what that process looks like and how much it is, because again, it's an investment from you guys when we want to make sure that you're getting exactly what you want out of it too. So.
Okay. Does that give any more questions for the group?
I don't know.
Really appreciate you guys taking the time to come up here tonight. It's awfully impressive anytime somebody drives up to come to a school board meeting in Webster, South Dakota at 6 o'clock at night. You won't be getting home until later this evening, but we really do appreciate the insight and the ideas, and I'm confident we're going to be having more conversations about this, you know, over the next few months, and most likely going to be in touch with you.
Okay.
If you've got questions, obviously Nathan Bloom and Dr. Block and that community group is some good sources to get in touch with, and obviously anybody else here. I mean, if you ever have questions, please reach out to any of us if there's anything we can do to help you out if we end up going down this road.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, we appreciate the opportunity to you know, come and present with you guys, but also to hopefully work with you guys on this project. I mean, like I said, this means a little bit more to me, as being that I played basketball in that gym. Nathan was actually one of my coaches at basketball for it, so that's kind of a huge alma mater to me. So
that's awesome. We really appreciate you coming up. It's really nice to see Webster grads coming back. I mean, that's nice. Thank you.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it. So.
Is there anything else that we'd want, do you want us to give you some of these copies of anything?
If you don't mind sharing, that would be great. I mean, that would be really nice just to have something to work off of.
Send it through Dr. Bach.
That'd be great.
You let us know what we want to share. It's your design. It's just something that we came up for a concept based on the information we were given. So.
I mean, we're very transparent with our process. So I mean,
I think one question when we got a little further into it, I would want to feel good about, is that a good use of our space?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a lot of square footage for, I don't know, maybe it isn't a lot of square footage. I don't know.
So these are based on, the square footages are based on diagrams, you know, it's just kind of laying it out as efficient as you can. But again, if you were to choose us, we're not married to this design. We basically start from scratch again. You know, this is just kind of taking the information that we were initially given, having some sort of a sense of what maybe possibly could work, or an idea, give it, you know, square foot numbers and throw around cost numbers. That's really all it's for. But then taking it and starting over again and actually getting down to the nuts and bolts of actually what truly works, right?
I mean, we typically, with our process, we drive up, you know, and we'll do some design trap meetings with the committee or the board members that are going to be part of that. And, you know, right now, I mean, whoever wants to be part of that. I mean, like right now with the Graceville School, I meet twice a week on that project, and you know, we spend 4 hours just talking about different phases or different portions of the school consistently, and that's I don't envision that being anything different until we actually get a plan that sets and that works for you guys. I mean, that's been our process, and then once we kind of do that and we vet the pricing out and it's still in line with it, that's when we know if you're comfortable with it where it's at, you sign off on it, like, right? It's not me saying, oh, this, you're good with the design, we're just gonna move forward. No, you have to sign off and say, this is what we want. This is where we want it to be. That's been our process of how we've done it. And, I mean, I can say that I've got on this Graceville, we're touching with the additions in that 70,000 square foot, and I've got signed off on everything about 2 weeks ago now, and they were picking finishes already today. So that I got to skip the finish selections because that's not my specialty. So, well, we have 2 interior designers that are pros on that. So,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
gentlemen.
you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening. You as well.
Larry,
Yes, Mayor.
Hi. Thank you for coming. You bet. Really appreciate it. You bet.
Hi there. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You bet.
Good to see you, Justin. Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
that's right. If you shoot another big buck, I expect a picture of it this time.
Seems like yesterday.
Everything is yesterday, isn't that correct?
Yeah. All right, we'll keep moving forward here. Motion to approve the minutes from our regular meeting of April 8th and our special meetings for April 9th, 23rd, and May 1st. Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Hi.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the financial statements as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion?
Can I just jump in here for a second?
Yeah, please go ahead, Lori.
Look at our financial report. We have the column that shows our QSTB funds, and that was for our elementary renovation. And just as a reminder, because it was kind of before your guys' time, or
It's before all of our times.
oh, all of you. Okay, well, anyway, so the QSCB funds, that was just a funding mechanism. And what it is called, it's called a sinking fund. And so the money that we pay annually for principal payments, that money goes to South Dakota Fit. We didn't choose that, that's just where it's set up, okay? And it sits there every year, and then at year 20 or 15, whatever our year end was, they take that lump sum of money and they pay off the principal of this project, okay? It's just a different type of funding mechanism. And as for the interest, we make annual payments of like $116,000 2 times a year. 2 times a year, I complete reports, send it to the federal government, get reimbursed. I would say 95% of our interest payments. So basically almost a 0% loan is what we had, okay? So in the meantime, as we're putting this principal money into the South Dakota Fit Fund, it's gaining interest. So a couple weeks ago, Toby and I were visiting, and we are getting closer to the end. And so we have reinvested those funds that's left. We did it in a short-term 18-month. He has it set up for and to account for that. And so we are projecting that our final payment, we should be able to knock off 3 principal payments. We should be able, hopefully, we should be able to make our last payment in February of 26, so that'd be the 25-26 school year. So we're knocking off time and about $175,000 worth of principal.
That's by using that interest.
Yep. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention as we're talking about all of this stuff, that is one of our debt payments that we'll be able to get rid of fairly soon. So it was very, there was a lot of debate when we did that, and, because you didn't really hear of this kind of funding source, but it ended up being a very good funding mechanism for us. So just wanted to update you on that.
Lori, before we go on, I think we got to make sure that we acknowledge and say thank you to that school board. I know I wasn't on the board at that time. I think that it was, if I remember right, Doug Balsvig was on the board, Kathy Mellon maybe been on the board, Randy Ryan. I don't know if Mark Hansen was on the board at that time, or if it was Jamie Reitz was on the board, or if it was Randy Bresky maybe. But either way, to that board that made that decision, that was a really good decision. Thank you for everything you've been doing and working with Toby, because again, we shouldn't just think, oh, it's just $175,000. No, that is saving the taxpayers $175,000 that we can put to better use with our facilities and our community today. So, nice job to that group back then, to having the foresight and the willingness to do things a little bit differently and save money.
That was a $2 million project we did at that time, 1.978.
Nice.
Thank you to you, Lori and Toby, having the connections,
Yep.
the right team in place that can.
Well, Toby.
Yeah, but.
Smart guy.
Yep.
All right. Otherwise, I thought the financial statements looked good. Any questions on the financial statements? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the claims as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second, I think I heard Larry. Discussion. Did you say that, Larry?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I thought I heard you. I'm sorry. Was that Aaron then? Well, if it wasn't anybody, then I'll wait for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. We'll give that to Marty then. Discussion.
And the claims that's there, are we done with JDH? I didn't see anything in there.
I don't think we're done with them, no.
So there just wasn't in there.
Correct.
So it's still there. That's all.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the negotiated agreement as presented. Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Everything's in, we're fully staffed. Dr. Block, everything's good with the negotiated agreement?
I'm not
As
sure
far
what
as
you mean.
teaching,
Huh?
teachers were,
They signed.
knock on wood, at this moment, we don't have any teacher openings, right?
Okay.
Oh, is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no teacher openings.
As long as we approve paragraph B. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to vote on the South Dakota High School Activities Association ballots.
So moved.
Thank you, Marty. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion?
I did not receive the recommendations from the AD, so if you guys,
Oh, you have it?
no, if you guys want to make a decision, or however you want to move forward with that.
There, I was waiting for your recommendation.
I mean, I would have to listen to a recommendation. I don't know any of these folks or any of the, I can read a resume, but he should have some guidance for us.
Well, these are due May 31st.
Yeah. Definitely should have his recommendation.
So this is the name, image, likeness amendment. I mean, I gotta believe they've been talking about this one. I mean, I've heard about it on the news. I mean, Dr.
Yeah.
Block, have you heard anything about it?
I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with anything too much with the High School Activities Association. That's not a priority in my position, so.
Right.
I really haven't. I am looking for the email from which they provided that information. So.
Well, gentlemen, since we don't have the recommendation of the athletic director and they're due May 31st, what do you want to do on this?
I think there's something there we need, I'm not willing to just take I want his recommendation.
Okay, Joel, Aaron, you're the same?
Yeah, unless,
I mean, there's, the way I see it, what is there, a couple of amendments?
Yeah.
So that,
Well, at least the name, image, likeness one is the
that's a big one.
Yeah. Well, and they have also be interesting to, we've got 2 members that are going to be voted on the South Dakota High School Activities Association. I would like to know those recommendations. That means we have a special board meeting at some point in time in the morning. And we could call in. Good with that?
Yep.
All right, we'll table this and go ahead and let's get the recommendations of the athletic director, and then
I think he should be present for that call as well. Just, there's 2 different elections here, plus 2 different amendments.
I agree. So we'd want his recommendations to us prior to the meeting, and then he needs to be present at the meeting. And we'll reset that meeting. Lori, do you mind just sending out, after you get a chance tomorrow, to take a look at the schedules and send out a couple of possibilities to the group to consider? And we'll do these at 8 a.m., 7:45 a.m. type of meeting work for you guys?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right, so we're going to table the South Dakota High School Activities Association ballots. All right, moving on. Motion to, I do the resignations each individually, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Motion to approve the resignation of Kelly Nimmer.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second? Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. I have a resignation letter here from Kelly Nimmer. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work here for the past 3 years. I've enjoyed getting to know all the staff and students. I appreciate the opportunity to learn more about the school district. This has been a very hard decision for me to make, but I'm excited to take some of the skills I've learned here with me as I pursue the next step of my career at NSU as the graphic designer. If needed, I'm willing to be a prom advisor until someone new is found. Until the end of my contract, I'll do everything possible to wrap up my duties and train whoever is seen fit for the position. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do to help out during the transition. Again, thank you for all the opportunities I've had, and I hope to stay in touch in the future. Sincerely, Kelly Nimmer. I'd just like to say on behalf of the board, thank you very much, Kelly. I hear your name often, and it's always in a good way. Just go ahead and get a hold of Kelly on that, and it'll get taken care of, is usually the phrase that I hear. You will be missed, and thank you for everything you've done for the past 3 years.
With respect to that position, I chose not to advertise immediately because by the time I would have advertised for 2 weeks, taken the time to interview and hire somebody, we'd be about right now. And so they would be here for maybe a week before the end of the school year. So I believe that we'll probably advertise in late June, early July, give us an opportunity to do interviews, and then whoever we hire would be able to provide at least 2 weeks' notice to whatever position that they might be holding at that time. And then that would give us ample time in August for them to start position. Some of the training is going to be a little bit more challenging. Infinite campus training occurs in early June or in early September. And so Chelsea Larson, myself, as well as some others, believe that we can do enough training on Infinite campus to be able to start the school year for attendance and class schedules, things like that, before there's actually a 2-day training in September. So, and that's just among a lot of training. A good portion of this job is just like any other similar job, is where you really don't know what you're going to be doing until you've completed a full year, and then you pray that your second year is better than the first. So it is a challenging thing to train on. We have a lot of notes written down as to what the responsibilities are and how to do them. But even with all of the notes that we have, there'll be some little surprises for us.
Well, good news is the Reporter and Farmer will be advertising for free for us when they put the story in, so thank you, Amanda. We really do appreciate that. And Bearcat TV will also be getting it out, so I'm confident there will be people that are aware. But back to Kelly again, thank you. All in favor of the resignation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the resignation of Abby Carlson.
As.
Define that.
Resignation of Abby Carlson?
Oh, it's in our thing, just basketball cheer coach.
Okay,
That is now changed.
yeah, I've got resignations, and so I've got 2, and so it's just.
Well, it's not in our
business.
packet.
Yeah, I don't, well, the letter, I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
just basketball?
Pardon?
Not just basketball?
No, it was cheer before and now as of this
Administrative
morning, it's the
assistant.
full-
Okay.
Yeah, if you'd let me talk about it, you know, give
Okay.
me the motion, Larry, and then I'll talk about it, buddy.
It's in our packet as boys basketball cheer, period.
Okay. Well, do we want to do just boys basketball cheer, or do you want me to talk about it all?
It'd be nice to have our packets up to date that time.
She resigned last night.
She gave her resignation May 12th. So, all right.
No, this morning. She just resigned from her administrative assistant job this morning.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Tom.
All right, trying to help out here, guys.
And
So do I have a motion? Thank you, Aaron. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion.
We had it.
Well, I want to inform you of my decision to resign as the Business of Administrative Assistant. My last day will be May 30th, 2024. Thank you for allowing me to be in the position for the last 3 years. I'm grateful for all the opportunities I was given to learn and grow within this position. Please let me know if there's anything I can help with during the transition. Thank you for the support and understanding regarding my decision. Abby Carlson. All right. Again, Abby, thank you for everything that you've done. We wish you the best. Any other further conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the contract of, apologize,
Matthew Leonard's.
Matthew Leonard's. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion? He will be a kindergarten teacher, junior high football, and junior high boys basketball coach, correct?
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the policy revision as presented within the packet. Thank you, Marty. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to, would this be to amend the 24-25 calendar then?
Yes.
Move.
Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion? Dr. Block?
So what happened is the same thing that happened this year. We had set the calendar, and we typically set the calendar in January. Actually, sometime sooner than that, for the preliminary, we looked at it in December. This year, we had the prom set, and then we learned that they changed the date for FFA in order to prevent conflict with quite a few of our students. We had to change our prom date, which we moved it by a week. We made that same effort with the calendar this year, or for the upcoming school year, using corresponding dates. And so that's what I proposed to you folks in December/January, and it was approved. And when Mr. Zink came back from the state FFA, he said, we got an issue. They shifted FFA by a week, which is the same exact what we did in order to prevent that conflict. And so it wasn't until they returned from state FFA that we learned we now have the same exact conflict that we had in the current school year. So I am proposing that we move our in-service date and prom from April 4th to April 11th to prevent that same conflict.
Comments?
That's what works.
Pardon?
If that's what works.
If that's what, right now, we believe that's what works. And it did work this year. It worked out fine. It's, like I said, I apologize for it happening, but I don't know that we could have controlled it. because we really believe that their corresponding date is going to work. There is what you call we call it a rollover date, or the calendar rolls over, where some things get shifted significantly when you're talking about the High School Activities Association calendar, and so I believe that's maybe what happened. When you look at Easter and some other things, FFA had to move theirs in order to prevent a lot of conflicts, which then caused the conflicts. So.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to declare surplus property.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we got 107, first by Joel, second by Larry. We got 107 Chromebooks, 32 laptops, 11 desktops, 2 32-inch TVs, not smart, 25 headphones, 3 Promethean voters. Voters?
Promethean voters, yeah, they use these little remote voters back in the day. They're older.
1 scanner, 2 laptop carts, 2 digital cameras, miscellaneous cords and cables, 4 speakers from the Armory valued at $150 each as is, 1 printer, and 1 printer drawer. Discussion?
What do you do with it? Just,
We have a company that picks them up.
oh.
Is it put out for bids for multiple companies, or does it just go to one? I mean, is it put out for bids to
No.
different places, or?
No,
Okay,
because most of this is not worth anything.
okay.
Remember, I tried to resave the Chromebooks years ago and got laughed at on that one, so nope. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the supplemental budget 4-5-24, a copy of which is enclosed.
So,
Thank you, Aaron. Second.
second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the superintendent report. Oh, excuse me, Dr. Block, just go ahead. I'm on a roll here.
Let's approve it.
We've got how many things here?
Battery's getting low.
It is.
Are you
Yeah,
ready?
yeah, go ahead.
I'll try to be quick here. Seniors' last day was last Friday. We had Humanity Launch come in and do a full day activity with them, and then ended the day with a senior gathering for the staff and the seniors. And I think it was a nice day. The last day of school is this Thursday, dismissing at noon, and then graduation is this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Army. So I wanted to mention, because I think it's worthy of doing this, each year we send, our size of a district gets to send 1 student to the governor's luncheon, and we see this picture. We're going to pass this on to her. Bailey Thompson was the top student in her class, and therefore represents our school at that governor's luncheon. So she was able to take a picture with the lieutenant governor this particular year. It's a really nice ceremony that they put together. They have a nice luncheon. They have some nice orchestra type entertainment, and usually hear either the governor, the lieutenant governor, or some other dignitary that speaks. So congratulations to Bailey as our top student, and I'll be giving that picture to her. Wanted to briefly mention the Chamber of Commerce membership. That was proposed to us, to me, several weeks ago, and John Sir had contacted me. I had sent an email to you folks asking for you to think about it, and we did discuss a little bit at last month's meeting, I believe. The gist of it that I'm getting from the conversations that I've had separately is that some of the questions are, why would we be a part of the Chamber of Commerce when we're not a business? Isn't specifically that, but I would say at this point we're not really interested in from what I've had for conversation, but we can have some discussion now if you wish. He had asked me about it when I returned the big scissors, and so I thought I'd put it on the agenda, so. Any discussion on that right now, or? Okay. The next thing that I have on here is EMC property insurance. I'm gonna actually shift that down to buildings and grounds where Lori had it on the actual agenda, so we'll move on to that a little bit later. I do want to talk about the mid-bus, sort of buildings and grounds, it's half the outlay topic, but our yellow mid-bus is a 2009, it's a diesel. It does have the handicap lift. We purchased that brand new one in 2009. We had some issues with that mechanically on the way back from the hardwood relays. It ended up staying overnight for several nights in Baltic, the bus did. We were able to get all of our students back, as well as our coach back with parents that were still coming back from Sioux Falls. Unfortunately, the engine has got some issues with it, and I'll let Lloyd, do you want to just discuss what you know, or?
Sure. Kevin Duhamel did go and pick it up for us, and then he has done some research for us on the cost. To have a new engine or to have a remanufactured engine, he has a couple different places. For either of those, plus the labor to install, it's going to be around the $20,000 mark. He said with that there would be no turbo and no injectors. He doesn't think either of those would be an option for us, because he said we would have to then still replace our injectors, because that's, okay, I'm not real mechanical, but that's what we had issues with feeding into the engine or something, okay? He also did find some used ones from a couple different places. Don't know if we can get them, but he did get estimates. That would be right around the $5,500 to $6,500 range, $85,000 or 85,000 miles on that, and then obviously the labor. So we're looking at 10 to 12,000 there, okay? So our two mid-buses do get used. Yeah, and so we really do need that for next fall. A new bus, I think, is around like the $85,000 mark.
We paid about $64 for this one in 2009.
Yeah.
The lift does add additional cost.
So it could be more than that, yeah.
And I would not propose that we get a bus without a lift. I think we do need a lift. We've proven the need for a lift for the last 2 decades in the school district.
How many miles are on it?
It's right around 100,000.
Right around 100,000, yep.
It's kind of unfortunate that we're dealing with engine issues, because normally you go a couple 100,000 with the body and the engine.
And so he was in and we visited, and just, you know, he has done the research for us, I guess, just kind of looking for direction from you guys. You know, $10,000 to $12,000 for repairs, and then we still have the bus and it'd be readily available for next fall and for the school year. I mean, you know, he thinks that's good. I kind of think that instead of going the new route, especially with the big projects we have going on, but before we spend money like that, I'd kind of like to get your direction.
So it's got 100,000 miles on it, and we're looking at, the used motor's got 85 on it?
Yeah.
Do you know what the failure was on the engine?
I don't know. That's why I let Lori talk about this.
Who did the diagnostics on it?
Kevin.
Kevin did?
Yep, he went and hauled it home.
So there was a gentleman that stopped to help and was talking with Bill Sawinski, and I had been doing some phone conversations with Bill because I was actually on my way back from Eureka, because we had pole vaulters up there, and it looked like I was going to have to grab the other mid-bus as soon as I got back to get down there. But the gentleman that he talked to was a race car driver or mechanic, or he knew what was going on, and Bill said that his tone and his comments made him believe that there's probably a little bit more serious to the engine than what originally was thought. So.
And listen, we don't have to make a decision tonight because it's our last week of school. So if we, you know, you want to think about it or talk to Kevin, whatever, we can talk about this in June again. So
we can get a plan over the summer.
Yeah, we don't. Just so you know what happened.
I mean, I'd ask the same question, you know, what you were just asking.
Yeah, I'd like to know how far those motors should go.
200 plus.
Something failed in there that.
Yeah, 200 plus.
I put used engine in trucks all the time, send them down the road, but it's a little different deal. I mean, these are smaller. Something just doesn't seem right here.
What is it, this 6.9 Power Stroke diesel or something?
Well, that explains it, it's a Ford.
Oh, no, not Power Stroke, it's the Duramax, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I was like, it's not Ford, it's Duramax. I caught you, Joel.
That's
I
an
didn't mean
09?
to, but
That's an 09?
it's an 09, yes.
Wasn't there a Duramax problem back then, Joel?
No, I mean, we've got them out there,
No, there was-
400,000 miles.
There was 2 years or so, a couple years in there where I thought I heard that or whatever.
Happen to know what year the motor is?
What?
Did you say what year that motor is? How old that motor is?
It was new, or no, the 08.
No,
No, this was a used one because it has
It's got 85,000.
5,000 miles on
Who
it.
does the work on it for us when we have servicing and stuff? Who does it?
Like it repairs and stuff he does.
Oh, he
Or
does.
we've had like Twin Valley.
So Kevin would.
But here's the other dilemma that we
It's
have,
very
you guys, is even if we thought we could do a bus, we aren't gonna be able to get it in time for the school year to start. I mean, it probably won't even be till
It'd probably be sometime in the fall.
late fall.
If you recall, when we ordered the white one,
Yeah.
good gracious, that was over a year, I think, before.
And then the other thing would be is if we don't repair it and we wait to get a new bus, then we would have to have him transport and pay that cost.
I'd be more inclined to repair it, just make sure that we're repairing it.
I'll get more info
With the
from
right
him.
engine.
I'll have him type something up and then I don't have to try to explain it.
Who's the busing committee? They can.
I think you are, Joel.
No, I don't think I am.
It's me and Jeremy.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
I think we just repair it with
Yeah,
the used
repair it,
engine and just
get
get
it
it
on the
done.
road.
I mean, if it's, the bus itself, the body and the inside, everything else is good. I mean, we just had bad luck with an engine after 15 years. Wish it went more, but let's,
And 15 years, 100,000 miles, I mean, for 15 years. that's fine.
But Lori, that thing should have went. That
Yeah,
just
it should've.
surprises me. I'd like to know what
different
went.
Well, Joel, you know, we bought a used one, and the very first day we had it, we didn't even pay the check, and
Caught on
Mr.
fire.
Block started it on fire. And that's why we had to get this new one, so.
I don't think Kevin needs any explanation, but I will tell you, the last time we had any issues with this particular bus, we had some frame issues with it because we had a curb and whatnot. And the folks that we took it to said, it's total. I'm like, what? It can't be. This was several years ago because it only had like 57,000 miles on it. I'm like, no, we're not totaling this. And Kevin took it upon himself to find people. He didn't do it himself, but he found some folks that were able to get that fixed for us. And it did cost us some money, but it was far less than buying a brand new bus. And turning all of that into insurance. And I do believe the insurance paid for it, of course.
Oh, it did, that was track 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I really believe that Kevin's got these options for us since last week. There might be some other options. I mean, if he knows about something or knows somebody that knows somebody, we're probably gonna find out some other options here within the next couple of weeks anyway.
so you guys just want some more information, make a decision. in June?
Larry, what they had troubles with were injectors. That's the only thing that goes wrong with them. I got a bunch of Duramaxes with 400,000 miles on them. Only thing you ever do is injectors. When an injector goes out, you think you blew it up.
But that doesn't normally, you don't normally blow it up, it's just the injectors and you replace them.
So is it possible that's what it is?
Well, injectors are spendy.
The injectors are spendy. It'd be 10 grand to put injectors in. But I just,
Hoping that the engine is in good enough shape.
Can that get checked?
Well, our next meeting is Monday, June 10th, correct?
We're having a special meeting before that, aren't we?
I guess we put that on there too if we want, if you get enough time.
I mean, we're not in a hurry.
I think we can go with June 10th. I mean, as long as Kevin doesn't tell us it's an issue, let's get some more information for the group and then just bring it back on June
Can I
10th.
propose this, if we've got more information, that we deal with it at the special board meeting?
Sure. If we've got the information, yeah.
If not,
Yeah.
we'll.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing that I have on my list is, it's a form that I actually administratively just said, we're gonna start using this, even though it's not been adopted by policy. And I don't think you're gonna argue with that particular concept or idea. There was a state, or a district within our state recently that had a guest speaker invited to come into the school system, and eventually they later learned, it sounds like the guest speaker was fine, everything was fine. They learned several weeks after that the guest speaker was actually on the registry for sexual offenders. And so in this particular district, the board had asked for the resignation of the teacher and the resignation of the superintendent. And what eventually came out of that is they did unanimously accept the teacher's resignation. She was the one that had made this arrangement, and I believe the speaker was somebody personally that she knows. And then they unanimously denied or didn't approve the superintendent's resignation. So she ended up losing her job, the superintendent ended up keeping his job. I'll be the first to tell you that there are speakers that come into our building that I don't even know are here, because we encourage our staff to invite people in as part of the curriculum. And I mean, that's K-12. It's not just like our career tech ed folks. With that being said, the co-op, NESC, has a form that they provided to us as a copy at our last superintendent's meeting, which is used for observation experiences, like if somebody's doing their sophomore field experience, or somebody's doing something for some counseling or something like that. They have a form that they use. It is not a legal form that protects them 100%, but it allows for anybody coming in as an observer to self-disclose whether they might be on the registry list or not. And so I thought right away, we're just going to implement something like this just to be safe, because we're at the end of the school year a couple of weeks ago, and I thought we've got field trips where volunteers are coming, we've got special speakers coming in, we have all kinds of things that happen at the end of the school year. And so I asked our staff to implement this particular sheet or form immediately, and then I will put this in the process of a formal policy this summer when we update some of our policies. And so it really isn't anything major. It just simply states here, criminal background check for part of it. Have you ever been arrested or convicted of any crime other than minor traffic offenses? Now, with that being said, I see Tom as a lawyer raise his eyebrows. There will be some other offenses that we probably will see in this disclaimer, and then we have to determine if it's something where somebody comes in. I'll remind you whenever I talk to Rodney Freeman about certain things, if you're talking about drugs and things like that, he will tell you that a person who's maybe a recovering drug addict can come in and speak, but somebody who's been convicted of selling drugs, distributing drugs, we don't want them in our building. And so those types of things may come up. I want it to be a self-disclosure situation so that we can prevent what happened in this other district. Just as one more step for that. Technically, this person should have made sure that it didn't occur, because I think if you're on the registry, you're fully aware that you should not be in school. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah, they are. I mean, that's,
it's just a bad situation. It was actually I think it was meant to be a positive situation. It actually was a positive experience for the information that was disclosed regarding whatever this guy does for a business nowadays, and something that happened early in his life. But nonetheless, he's on the registry. So,
just going to give you a heads up, what's a minor traffic offense? For some people, they consider it minor, not 155, I mean, everybody, when you put those questions down, just so the board's aware, I mean, I get calls on this all the time. What's a minor traffic offense? Depends on who's asking. Nowadays, everybody gets a suspended imposition of sentence on a misdemeanor. So if somebody can get a DUI first and they get a suspended imposition of sentence, their record is sealed. Are we gonna,
So what I would say to that, Tom, is I wanted this implemented immediately, just to be safe.
I agree.
But I think we need to reword it so that it helps us prevent dealing with some situations that we really don't need to deal with, that aren't serious, but allows us to make sure that we have the...
Is the Association of South Dakota School Boards gonna put together maybe some type of, it'd be nice if they put something together for the state that was a little bit more comprehensive than all the different school districts trying to put this policy
It is
together.
very possible something may already exist. We're gonna, I'll look into that. I just wanted something in place.
I think it's good.
I think it's a good call. Yeah.
That's all I have for that part, and the rest is for buildings and grounds.
Okay, anything else for Dr. Block? Principal report, Mr. Case.
I don't have a lot to share tonight, kind of winding down. Field day coming up on Wednesday. Recognition assembly tomorrow, short one that we'll have. And I assume the kids will be free. We did have Dakota Players Theater in last week. There was about 34 kids that were a part of that. So they practiced after school in the high school gym here, and then they put on a performance for the student body on Friday. And did a good job, and then the parents and community came in Friday night and put on a very good show too. We have some talented actors, kids that like doing that, so I'd like to bring that back possibly every year, that we can keep doing that. So next year, I asked Mr. Bloom, the athletic director, and to find a good date, and I'm hoping to maybe sometime in March get them here. That way it's in between sports, and we could possibly get some of those kids out. I did open it up K through 12, but they were all elementary kids who went all the way up through 6th grade. But there's golf, there's track, there's a whole lot of activities. So if that date is open, I'll try to get that in for March. So student council did fund that. A big thanks goes out to the Webster Art Council. They donated about $1,000 for that too. So it was good performance. Driver's ed, we're sitting at 26 students right now, so a little smaller class this year. That's about it, unless you have any questions.
Okay. Nothing else for Mr. Case, thank you. NESC.
The new director is beginning transition. She's got some co-op experience. I can't remember her name. Aniki? She has worked for co-op before, and so it's been several years, but she's starting her transition. One thing I did want to mention about the center base for us particularly is, and Mr. Case can chime in with this if he needs to, our center base has actually declined a request for an additional student all day. And then we also have the potential for another student here in Webster that we would like to consider for the center base, but we're most likely going to get declined. For a couple of reasons: physical space and staffing, as well as with this new director coming in, Andrea does not want to she wants to ensure that we're not going to set up some serious issues with taking on too many students. And so that's something we have to kind of consider. Not much we can do about it. When we're at capacity, we're at capacity, so we just have to deal with it the best we can. If we have additional students within our district when we can't place them because of capacity, then we have to look at alternatives. And alternatives might be an out-of-district placement, where they transport maybe to Aberdeen or Watertown on a daily basis, or an alternative placement that's full-time. It just depends on the student. So I wanted you to be aware of that. to let you know that there is a continued need for our center base, and I think there always will be, whether it's within our own district or districts within the co-op. So, anything else with the center base or the co-op? Pretty much covered it up. Marlon?
Okay. Thank you. Food service review.
I'm just going to read you a few notes. Our food service review, I think we are finished, but we really haven't gotten the complete verification from the state yet. It's been a long process. Communication with the state has been very poor. They hired an outside company to do our review that was out of state, so it's been a challenge. We started this process at the beginning of the school year, and Amanda and I, we've had to send in numerous documents. We did have a gentleman from Pennsylvania do an on-site visit in January. And so I'm just going to inform you of some of the areas that they reviewed because it was pretty intensive. Meal access and reimbursement reviewed all meal applications and monthly claims versus kitchen counts for accuracy. Meal patterns and nutritional quality. We had to prove the meals we claimed for reimbursement met the meal requirements. They reviewed menus, food components, quantities, dietary specs, production records, labels, recipes. General areas they reviewed were resource management, civil rights, monitoring, responsibilities, reporting and record keeping, food safety, competitive food standards, program outreach, professional standards, and wellness policy. They reviewed our procurement. They conducted tests to assess compliance with procurement activities, utilizing food service account funds. And so out of all of that, they found 4 findings. Our findings are, on one of the many forms that we have, we were missing a discrimination statement. Number 2, we did not post online or send documentation to parents informing or information regarding the nearest summer outreach programs, which I'm not even sure where the nearest summer outreach programs are, but we'll start doing that. In the procurement bidding process, they said we did not have the Buy American terminology in our proposal to bid. We did. We have sent the documentation showing them where it's at. We've not had a response from them. And the last finding was, and I think I might have told you guys, I'm not sure if I told you guys about this, but one of the days when a truck did not arrive with our supplies, it was a Monday, she flipped the menu for Monday and Tuesday because we didn't have, the right supplies, and they did not like that. They said we need to be better prepared. And so overall, I think the review went really well besides those 4 picky findings. And so Amanda does a really good job down there with all of the documentation and the regulations. The food service gals do a great job. As of the end of April, we have served over 60,000 meals. And we did implement the fresh fruits and vegetable program this year, so that's also something they do every day. So that's just a little update on our food service review. We think we're done, but we don't really know.
Lori, with the summer thing where they say the nearest options, is that for like the nearest options for summer food programs? Or?
Yeah, summer outreach programs.
Lori, I'll tell you that fresh fruits and vegetables, or whatever that is, one of our toughest critics sometimes. I mean, she picked up the phone and called me and told me that's her kid's favorite thing.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, she thinks it's one of the best things we've done, and she definitely wasn't in favor of it at first, but her kids really love it, and that's part of their highlight of school. So
yeah,
it's nice to hear that.
For that again, last year that was, I can't remember if it was $14,000 or $17,000 grant. So that's what we spent for fresh fruits and vegetables for the year.
But it came at the expense of milk, correct?
Yes. So we have the application in, and I think we will find out in June if we're approved or not.
Okay, any other comments, food service review? All right, buildings and grounds.
First item that I have is the punch list. Jack is actually going to be here tomorrow morning to meet with me. I did a walkthrough, I think it was March 29th or something. I have the notes for that. I forwarded it to him. He had contacted Patty and myself midweek last week and was wondering why we still have been withholding funds. I say we as a school district because not all of the funds have been dispersed for the project. And he wanted to know what the holdup was. Well, I was pretty abrupt and quick in my response to say, well, first and foremost, the punch list is not complete. And I just stated, I said, somebody else besides me or our staff is going to have to do a thorough walkthrough. I kind of conceded a little bit and said, why don't you schedule, he says, well, I'll be there on Monday or Tuesday. I said, that's fine, but let me know what time you're going to be here. And I would recommend that you set aside 1 to 2 hours so we walk through it together. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. I will say that I didn't need to be as negative as I was, but it's just kind of drug on. And that's kind of where I was at when I did my response. So we're going to walk through it tomorrow and hopefully get everything taken care of with the little, the paint chips and the paint markings and things that need to be painted here and there. Most of it is touch-up paint that needs to be done.
Is Patty going to be here?
She is not. And so we're going to do that tomorrow. We'll see where things go. I'm guessing if you know Jack, he'll probably try to have it all done by Friday. We'll see, and we'll go from there.
Larry, is that wrong of me to think that that's a very unfair responsibility to put on Jim to the final walkthrough?
Well, I think so. Patty was here last week.
She was here. She's been here twice since our last main punch list. Any sort of work was done, and she did a walkthrough on her own. She did stop in my office several times. We did some things, and I shared with her the last time that she was here the list that I have that I shared with Jack via email today.
Did Patty share that with Jack?
I don't know that she did. I thought I gave it to her when she was here last time, and it was just a handwritten notes on 3 sheets.
Yeah, I mean, she was walking all through everything.
Any agreement on the hood, the dented hoods?
That's something we'll talk about tomorrow. Just phone conversation with Patty today. It's like the dents on the outside, on the west side, she thought there should be a little bit more significant cost deduction for having repaired. I don't know if you can repair them or not, but some of it, she said, you're going to see some dings and things in installation, but we haven't settled on that, have we, as a school district? We basically said no to the $1,000 on the refrigerator door and $1,000 on the.
Yeah, it was cosmetic. What was percentage, Marty?
What we do is a 25% of replacement cost, but I was wondering if a person could get like a body shop, a paintless net repair. Those guys can do some pretty cool stuff.
Stainless steel is pretty tough, though.
What's that?
Stainless steel is pretty tough.
Yeah, I don't know if they could or not.
I guess what I had planned to say with Jack regarding that tomorrow is we haven't been given any sort of a rebuttal or a calendar or anything like that. We said no to what was offered the very first time, so.
And we don't know what 25% amounts to.
It's just like, what would it cost to replace it all, and 25% of that.
So.
And he could turn it into his insurance too. But I'm sure he doesn't want it.
I don't think he's gonna like that part of the walkthrough, but it is what it is. And my take on it is, we haven't seen any sort of a counter offer.
Here's my opinion. I respect where Jack's at, wanting to get the project closed out. I respect where Dr. Black's at, wanting to get the project closed out. You're sick of dealing with it. But I don't want to put Dr. Black in a bad position either. I think that some of this falls on Patty, but if you're comfortable with where we're at, I just want to offer you any support.
I'm not going to try to speak for Patty, but I would say that if she were here tonight, she would probably say, I've provided the punch list items that he needs to take care of, whether it's in the form of my handwritten stuff or her notes, and I think she's kind of like we are. She's waiting for it to get done, and she feels like, I'm just not sure why, but it just seems to be dragging out. And I believe Jack is believing that everything's done.
So I, for one, was on the punch list, and we're done with it, so.
So, anyway, that's where we're at with that. I'll let you know as soon as I can where things are at. I really believe that once he sees some of the stuff himself, he'll get somebody on it and get taken care of.
Did you want any?
It's normal.
Did you want any of us to attend with you or anything?
You're welcome to. It's tomorrow at 10 is when we're meeting. If you're available, absolutely. I invite it if you want.
I can't, Larry, tomorrow, but if you can. I mean, I can't. I got another meeting. But.
So, yeah, if you're available, I absolutely welcome you to be with. Just mentioning the corner house property, I did receive a notification from Northwestern Public Service, I have to think of who it was. Northwestern Public Service, the natural gas has been completely terminated and shut off, as well as the electrical. If and when we get to the point where we're ready to demolish that particular facility, we have to coordinate with the city to make sure that the water lines are capped appropriately, and or if they do it, and or the sewer lines are capped appropriately as well. And so when we get to that point, I say we, as you guys as a school board, if we're going to go that route this summer, I just need to coordinate with the city to make sure that that part is done properly when we have construction come in and destroy it.
Is there any possibility on that other property? I'm sorry, is there any possibility on that other property in the near future?
Well, I would guess so, but that she still lives there. She's a very sharp gal for her age.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna be there for a while. As you recall, you guys had asked me several years ago to look at maybe a reverse mortgage. I privately spoke with Louis at the time when he was alive. I had always enjoyed having conversations with him, and he pretty much said, you know, my wife and I don't really need the money. We'll let the kids decide when we get to that point. So that's where he left it a few years ago. So.
Any reason why we wouldn't tear down the building this summer?
I just thought if they could be done together, if it was possible.
But would the city help tear it down, rather than us hiring someone to tear it down?
I don't know if they have that program going right now, do they, the city?
I don't know.
Somebody know?
I don't know.
I think it's been a couple of years since they've been, you know, they used, I don't know if it was through a grant, but they were tearing down a few every year.
It wasn't through a grant.
That
they used to have that Spruce Up South Dakota that was done statewide, and then the city started doing it kind of a little bit on its own for a while there. It was city funded.
And I can ask to see if there's any assistance from the city for something like that.
I think a vacant lot would be a lot better from liability perspective versus a building.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather see it taken down sooner rather than later, personally.
I would propose that we leave the garage, because I think it's in pretty good shape, and we have stuff stored in there already, so.
Really?
I do believe we have something in there. And it's really not in that bad a shape, the garage is. The house has a hole in the roof, so we know that's not in great shape, and it's been there. Sprinkler system for the new boiler room, we have that as a change order, or, a change order with our project. My understanding is as soon as school is out, which Jack knows that the last day of school is this Thursday, they're gonna get those projects going between that and the corridor tiling. And then anything with the punch list. I said he'd probably have everything done by Friday, but he's actually waiting until the school year done, and then it'll come in. So those three things, the punch list, the tiling right in front of the new office area, and the sprinkler system. And Lori, you've included those change orders with information, or I think I shared them with you. The cost for them, I don't have them with me right now. And then we're going to start our capital outlay list of our own things. I have contacted Corey Kines regarding landscaping rock along kind of that little piece that juts out rather than having grass in that whole area. And then there's 3 smaller areas as you enter the main parking area that I think would be good with rocks instead of grass. We do have grass already planted and growing quite well, on the boulevard in the 3 locations, so. Don't have any information on that. He's gonna give me a quote and let me know.
Are you gonna ask this area right out here by the entry where we poured the concrete to backfill and the gravel and?
Yep, I asked him to do something there, as well as the other areas.
Yeah, there's a couple other areas you couldn't mold with, you know, the rock and some gravel piled up.
One of our, this is just a little side note, but one of the downspouts was taken off during the project, and we didn't realize that it was actually not there. And we had all of the gutters put on, and that was a project we did on our own, and then they're gonna deduct that from the project price. Well, it came in, and that's when we realized that we were missing a downspout. So that downspout, unfortunately, was not integrated into the
storm sewer.
The storm sewer or going into the wall. So Corey did say that they can put something in. He said, I'm not gonna bring it all the way to the bottom of the wall, but he said we can get it to drain about halfway down that wall, so it's at least underground and you don't have a bunch of downspout that's just hanging out to be damaged or walked on and all that other stuff. So they're gonna integrate that, of course. It was just an unfortunate situation. I think they took it off when they were doing all of those exit pipes in that new boiler room, and we didn't even realize it was gone until we had Bowers come and do the gutters, and they said, "You realize you're missing a downspout over here?" And we're like, "What? Oh, can you put that in, please?" But that's just, projects like that is what we're going to be doing this summer. I don't think we have anything real significant other than some of the finishing touches. Well, the playground's real significant.
How about the fence? Over on the south side, did we do something with that entrance?
So, when we initially talked to Todd Sando, I thought that he was gonna do something with that, but when he came and did all the work, it wasn't in the scope of the work. And so we've contacted Roland Larson, and he said he can do something for us this summer. So we're gonna terminate it. It's probably, when I say terminate, it's gonna be 2 posts and tie out, but it won't have an opening and closing gate. We're just gonna leave it as an opening there. At least I believe that's what we plan to do. And then there's also a small fence line that juts north that I think was part of the divider. I don't think that was there for that ball field, was it? You know that little, it's about maybe about a 15-foot piece. Where it's, anyway, there's just a small piece of fence there that we need to have removed, and so we have Rollin doing that as well. We did ask Todd to come back, either him or his crew, level off the fencing fabric along this here. It's not really level with the top of the fence. And then ask them to adjust all of the gates, the ones that roll and slide and do all those things. You know, when a lot of that was installed, the ground was frozen, so there's some things that have shifted. So we'll get those all tidied up. I believe that's all I have. Does you have a question?
Insurance.
Oh, the big thing. So, forgot about that. Kim Center contacted us. She's our local agent for EMC Property Insurance. She contacted us probably about a month ago and was talking about some concerns with things. Lori and I had received kind of a summary of a walkthrough when they had, I don't know if you call it an adjuster or somebody from their firm came, and we had to provide responses for corrective action with some of these items. And the 2 main items that we have on here, one is the old boiler room, which I hate to talk about it, but the old boiler room has water seepage, and it's had water seepage issues for probably decades. Anybody that's been down, you know where the old boiler sits, if you continue through the canopy area there, it goes into what probably was an old coal room to the east. There's always been some sort of moisture sitting on the floor in there. Sometimes it's just, you know, 1/4 inch, sometimes it's, I guess I haven't really ever seen it totally dry down there. But they're questioning whether there's some structural concerns with the concrete because of the moisture over the many, 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 many years. And so Lori and I, when we did this response, I said, you know what, let's just put in there that our plan is to address that boiler room within the next 5 years. And I said 3 to 5 years. So we put 5 years in it. Well, that came back, they said, no, that's not acceptable. We may have put 5 years in there the last time that it was reviewed before. And so I asked Kim to adjust it to 3 years so that at least it would give us 3 years to kind of come up with some plans with the 50s wing, a resting room, those types of things, so that we could address that boiler pit within 3 years, and that wasn't acceptable. So what they want is a structural engineer or somebody that can come in and say that structurally the concrete is fine, and then we have to address the issue of making some attempt to remove the water that's sitting on the floor that accumulates on the floor in that area. So I would say we're probably going to have some sort of a small sump pump pit cut into the floor, and then have that run to the floor drain, I would guess. That's where it would normally go if it was all sloped properly. And so that's how we're going to address that. The other significant issue with our facility is all of the electrical in the elementary boiler room. The majority of that, I think, minus two newer electrical boxes, is all original. And so they've asked us to either contact a local electrician and or an engineer to come in and kind of do a review of that and make recommendations of things that these are all fine, they're working fine, they're in good shape, and the things that maybe we need to replace. And so I did contact the local electrician. He said he could come in and tell us those things, but he said really electricians aren't in that business of putting their name stamps on something where it might have something to do with your insurance. And so he said, I'll certainly do the work and could do that, but he said, I'm really not an engineer in that sense. He said, I think you need to contact an electrical engineer. So I did contact Travis Sickmiller. Fortunately, Travis has some connections where he can get us in touch with somebody for a structural engineer for the boiler room, as well as his own people can do the electrical engineering stuff in that elementary. I told him it's kind of a pressing issue because the EMC company is basically telling us we have a non-renewal, and we've received formal notification we have non-renewal as of July 1 if we don't address these things. Now, in speaking with Travis, he said this happens more than you know, and he said once you put a plan together, it doesn't have to be, we're not going to have everything done by July, but if we put a plan together that's acceptable, then we'll come on with our insurance. Now, with that being said, Mark, you're in the insurance company, but we're in the insurance business. Lori has not received anything regarding new premiums or premium adjustments. So who knows where that will go or what will happen with that, even if we do have a plan in place.
And I have spoken with Kim. I mean, we've been on the phone a lot with all of this. And when we do get those new rates, and she might have some other options for coverages, I'm just gonna have her come directly to the board meeting. So I'm not the middleman, so you guys can hear what she has to say and what options we have. And
We can play the game with them too. They just open the door to let us go shop on them.
I've already informed Kim of that, and of course she obviously as a local person would prefer not to have that happen. But I told her, I said, we may have to do that in the process of this in order to have a backup plan too, because July 1 is right around the corner.
So, I mean,
it's right around the corner.
Because didn't we have the South Dakota Risk Pool come and make a pitch to us?
Yeah.
2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yep.
I mean, maybe we should be inviting them back again.
And this really has nothing to do with Kim, but I mean,
Yeah,
get
it's
that,
EMC.
Get that underwriter in here and let's negotiate. And we do have a plan. We're working on a plan, and if he's not willing to give us credit for that plan.
I don't think though that they'll increase the rates because of this. I think the rate increase would just be a standard rate increase for everyone.
Yeah, but
This is just saying, hey, there's an issue here. You guys need to get this fixed. What's your plans? Get it.
a non-renewal for an electrical box panel, everything that's been there since 1970 what?
70, 71, 72.
73, whatever year, no problems, no issues, and now all of a sudden, 45 days before renewal, you know, now they're saying we're non-renewal. you know, a structural,
Probably had a claim somewhere.
have we?
No.
No, they have.
Oh, they probably did, yeah. You know, a structural, I mean, for a building, I mean, that's the original high school that's been there since over 100 years. EMC did, I mean, I think Joel's right. They're the ones that are inviting us to shop somewhere else.
So
Maybe this is their way of pushing schools off and just getting rid of the school business. I mean, companies have been known to do that before.
just on their behalf, I will tell you that the survey date, the day that they came out to review physically, was March 6th. I don't recall what day we got this thing. And we have that via email, but we had 45 days to respond as to what our corrective action was going to be, and then, and we did that, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe. So,
Was there
there's
anything
been
that-
some time, but it hasn't been a lot of time.
But did we have a claim or something that triggered this inspection?
No, but I will tell you, at our last superintendent's meeting, and Kim has informed us that there's several other schools that are going through this process. The last superintendent's meeting, the conversation that we had was that there was like 16 school districts with EMC that are dealing with corrective action.
But I also think they came out because of our new building, because after, when we had our new building, they had to come out and, do all that inspection, so that could have been what triggered the visit everywhere else in the building.
Either way, there's a triggering a new inspection, and also, there's a big difference between an inspection and saying, hey, we need to work on this in the next 3 years, versus, hey, non-renewal.
Well,
I think that's EMC, nothing against Kim, but EMC pushing us. We pay a nice premium to them. I mean, that's one of our biggest expenditures.
6 digits.
Yeah, I mean, that we pay for property insurance. If they're saying they don't really want to work with us, then I think we should be looking at other options.
I think
That's my opinion.
I think what they're saying is, you have a problem here, we'd like to know what you're doing with it.
Yeah, but we said, well, give us 3 years. And they said, yeah, no thanks.
3 years is a pretty long time for insurance for us.
But we can send them have Amanda send them a newspaper, 52 a year for the last year and a half. I mean, we've been talking about this.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I think we should at least
I don't
look
think
into the
our
risk pool.
situation, that's just
How's that
what
been?
that
Have you
is.
heard
That's
anything
just
about
what
it?
I haven't heard anything negative.
A lot of municipalities with schools.
I think that was a different, there's another group that has property liability that a lot of that school districts go with, that aren't with this, that we could contact them.
There's nothing wrong with shopping.
We should have alternatives, because I mean, it might be, no matter how much the local individual tries to help us, if somebody at corporate's not working.
Is she,
And I believe wholeheartedly that Kim is doing
Well,
everything
Kim, no
she
question,
can
Kim does a great job.
to get us through this, but it's out of her court, I would guess.
does she sell for other companies? You know?
I don't know.
See if you can get us some more information. Again, I'm very happy with Kim, doing a great job. If you're watching, Kim, happy. EMC, not happy.
Help us.
Yep. I think that's a fair statement. All right, Jim, anything else?
I believe that's it, that's kind of.
All right. Thank you. 2024-2025 preliminary budget. That was copy was provided in your packets. We can do some discussion major tonight, or we can kick the can down the road and go to June if you want to, guys, too.
Have you read through it, or?
A little bit, yeah. Thought it was pretty reasonable. Looked in line with what we had.
Yeah.
What?
Here he comes.
Oh, geez.
You guys want to?
Are these suggested expenditures or are those?
I'd asked her a couple of questions already.
Yep.
We got time, I guess, whatever you guys want to do.
That's still there.
With my budget, I do that short, that's what, I think my estimated fund balance would be, have to use
Got
that.
it.
what did you decide? Did you want me to give you any information, or are we waiting till June, or? are
I
you
was
waiting
putting
till
out
the
to the
end?
group what the guys want.
Well, like I said, I've asked you a couple questions, which you answered already for me, and
I can let me just say this, as for the general fund, I'll just say, you know, with the negotiated agreement and things that we have, you know, I don't know the property and liability insurance, I've not changed that. I do have the new numbers from our contracted transportation, I'm trying to hit the bigger amounts. We would be using $455,000 of capital outlay. But I want to remind you that we have added a third grade, or a third kindergarten teacher. You know, so considering that, you know, when you look at those numbers, the rest of the funds are basically all the same except for capital outlay. And you know, capital outlay is just, I've detailed what I have worked into the budget. If you see projects that shouldn't be in there or that I'm missing, I don't have the corner lot amount in there, I can add that in there. And what was the other, I thought I had another one up in the old garage, yeah. But otherwise, the big things that we've talked about, we have some really big projects going on this year. They're all in there.
And Lori, on the general fund, we're trending towards under expense, right? I mean,
Well, I believe this year, 23, 24, that we're just finishing, we're gonna be right at, we're gonna have to use, you know, the capital outlay transfer that we had budgeted. You know, most years, we've not had to use that full amount.
Right.
But this year we will. But that's also because, you know, we had an unexpected third teacher that we added, so without that, you know, we would have been under.
when I just look at our fund balance, it looks like we're trending a little bit. Looks
yeah,
good.
we'll use some of that.
What?
We'll use some fund balance. We
General
know
fund?
that.
No, capital outlay.
Oh, yes, capital outlay.
Yeah.
And the playground project is in there, so that's,
We have a playground project, and remember, we are funding, I mean, we're getting revenue this year, donation money, but we're not getting their full amount, so we're gonna fund it up front. So we'll get some revenue. You know, we have the track resurfacing, that's a huge project.
Do you just, on that, when you have pledges, and of course, we have it in the capital outlay budget for this year, which we will pay it in its entirety, then of course, as pledges come in over 5 years, then they trickle back into the capital outlay?
Yes. Yeah, because what happens usually is Todd Geary, he knows the numbers. And so, you know, the revenue amount, that's the number I had gotten from him. And then next year he'll tell me the amount. So I'll be able to build that right into the budget as a donation.
but I don't, I mean, a big lion's share of the pledges so far are coming in the next 18 months. I'm just trying to find the list, I've got it here somewhere. I mean, Larry, I don't think there's
Yeah, I don't know.
a lot of 5-year stuff,
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
not, that's not really
That's
the
just
question.
what, that's just what Todd had mentioned when he was here. I don't know what that amount is. I know he said this year, and this number's not been updated, so it could be more, but this year we should get around 233. You know, so that's
That sounds
a
about
large.
what right, I think what he said before.
Yeah, what I'm getting at, it's gonna help down the road as
Correct.
it comes in.
Yep.
Yep,
But initially, this year, it's not, it's gone.
correct. All right, anything else on the budget?
And if you have questions, you can come in and visit me. I mean, just look through the details and see.
I see on the technology, which years ago, we've established it's X dollars every year. It's a big portion of the budget. But I noticed computer equipment on all the other elementary, middle school, high school, you have a zero there, but the technology you have,
Well, that's because right
you
now.
haven't split it out, you don't know
Right.
what everybody
That will be
needs.
in the July budget that I give you. Right now, we're just working with her
You-
total amount.
That's what I mean, you don't know what everybody needs, so. what we're
Well,
talking
we
about-
have it now. We have it. It's just for this, you know, by the time I got things lined up,
Yeah.
we just have the number.
That's
That's the
why I
number,
say-
it'll just be divided out.
That's what I mean by the preliminary, you can look at, but I know they're not all answered, they'll be coming.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on the budget? If not, motion to move into executive session for negotiations. Thank you, Aaron. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Marty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So our next regularly scheduled